Can you hear me? There are people online. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. Am I live? Hello? Welcome. Thank you all for coming out for our In Cozy Chesapeake Chapter lecture. I am pleased to welcome Theresa Armstrong, who will be speaking to us on business etiquette and professionalism. Because as technical as we are and as good as we are, if we don't get this correct, it doesn't matter. Over to you. And
All
thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you, Grace. There are a few people spilling in. This is interesting because one of the top offenders in etiquette is what? We'll see. Yeah, yeah. So we'll talk more about that. Come on in, get yourself settled in. We've got people waiting for you. My name is Theresa Armstrong. Thank you for having me today. I'm a professional certified coach, credentialed through the International Coach Federation, the Fielding University in Santa Barbara, and CTI, Coaches Training Institute. And I've been doing executive coaching probably for about 22 years now. And specifically for the last 15 years have been focusing on executive presence, leadership, confidence. Okay? Mostly working with folks very similar to you all, who are technically gifted, and then who rise to the ranks of leadership and are a little bit unsure about how they're showing up and what their brand is. So in our remaining moments, we're going to go until 8 o'clock. And I've got a really cool agenda for you. But let's establish some ground rules. I'd like for you all to participate in this meeting today. Okay, that's number one. Are you in on that? Yes, Theresa. Yep, they said yes. What I'd also like, when you have a comment, it won't be enough to kind of yell it out to me. We are going to have you get a mic, and so that you can have your comment heard by the millions of people viewing this tonight. Okay, so be careful of your comments. So the other thing that I would have you consider as a ground rule is that, you know, we're going to get into some good discussion, and particularly as you start working in teams. And so when I say time's up, I mean time's up, and I don't want to yell. So what I'll do is I'll raise my hand like this to say, are you ready? Are you ready? And then if you're ready, then you raise your hand to acknowledge that you're ready, and then the rest of you will get on board and be ready for the next thing. Okay? So some other things that I want to share with you or have you do, because we'll be working in a team in just a moment, is make sure that you say hello to the person sitting near you right now. Let's do that right now, okay? Say hello. Yeah, 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 good, good. In polite society, we say hello all the time, okay? All right, good job with that. So here's our agenda. We're going to talk about business etiquette, and I would imagine that some of the things that we'll talk about, you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what I would have you know is that business etiquette really is about common sense. However, as my grandmother used to say, common sense isn't always common, okay? We're going to talk about professionalism as it relates to being in corporate America. We're going to talk about a little bit about supporting behaviors, not a whole lot, because that's in the extended version of this course. And I would be prepared to talk about the 24/7 professional and so forth. So now, let's dig deep into this. Some of you had a meal moments ago, yes? Yes, yeah. Like, yes, no questions, just go in there. You don't need a mic. So, yes, you had a meal. So, I'm wondering, what were some of your best practices around mealtime when you think about etiquette? What are some best practices? All right, we're getting those mics to you. Thank you. We've got a lot of good responses coming in.
I guess the best practice is to chew with your mouth closed.
Right on. Right on. Everybody, let's practice that. Yes, we've got another comment over here.
Before you serve yourself, look around a table and figure out how many people want some of the food you're about to dish on your plate.
I hadn't heard it put quite that well. Very interesting. In all of the books that I've read on etiquette in the last 15 years, I hadn't gotten that. I'm going to be documenting that somewhere. Okay, what else? What else? Think about meals, think about business meals, think about social engagements and meals and what some best practices
Carrying napkins.
are. Please repeat.
Carrying napkins.
Napkins. And what do you do with your napkin? You scatter it?
Carry it.
You carry a napkin.
Yeah.
All right. Good work on that. Yes. Any other feedback regarding mealtime and etiquette? All right. What about this? What are some things you're still unsure about related to mealtime if you're in a business meeting or if you're kind of out there socially? What are some of the things that you're still curious about? Yes, we have a comment here. Ah, and here's the mic. Okay, and so the comment was, should you have a drink? Yeah. And the answer is, it depends. Okay? And what I would say about drinking in a business scenario is that you could really embarrass yourself, right? And so what you have to do is this risk analysis to determine, like, people call me a lightweight all the time. Like, I wouldn't necessarily have 2 margaritas with any of you, right? I just wouldn't. I do that at home in my backyard, all right? And so what I would further say, as it relates to drinking, be mindful of how much you can consume and still be reasonable, sound prepared, and engaging in conversation. I say no, but it always still depends. Okay? One of the other things that, let's give you like a real quick one, and I'll talk more about this as I said in an extended session. One of the things that people are still unsure about is which glass to drink out of at mealtime. They're not quite sure which is their piece of bread. They're not sure how to butter their bread even, okay? What do you think, where do you think the water is in your place setting? Yes, we've got a comment coming. You're going to get the mic in a moment.
I don't know if this is true, but I've heard to do B and D with your hands to decide which one's drink and which one's bread. So that's what I've done in the past. Is going off of that.
Okay. I think you're onto something there. And what I would suggest to you is that liquids on the right, solids on the left. Okay? That's a good way to think about that. And I won't go into great detail here, but when you think about your utensils that you eat with, you know, you're always, if you have 3 forks, which one do you think you would start with? The one further out. Okay? Yep. One of the other things that I see a lot of is people taking a roll or a piece of bread, slicing it, and just going at it, taking some butter and just smearing it all there like they're making a butter sandwich. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever done that? Yeah, don't do that anymore. Yeah, what you should be thinking about doing is taking that bread and then taking a piece and then buttering it and then eating it. And then the next piece you do for each piece. Okay? All right, that's some quick stuff around table manners. I would go into more detail. So let's move along. You see here that etiquette was the word of the day in the Webster's Dictionary. I thought that was very cool. Somebody read this definition of etiquette for me. Who is near a mic real quick who could do this? Raise your hand. He has the mic. Who wants to read that definition?
The conduct or procedure required by good breeding or prescribed by authority to be observed in social or official life.
Good work on that. Good work on that. There's something else here related to home training. Anybody ever heard that term, home training? Yeah. So read that definition there, or that description of home training that we have listed here. Let's get somebody else. We're gonna spread the love.
I don't need the mic. I'm a loud guy.
Well,
Or you can give me the mic. Oh, okay. Look, home training, the education, instruction, or discipline of a person in accepted mores or values.
yeah.
Or as my wife used to say, come home, there's actually an expression she uses. But anyway, I
Okay.
wish I remembered.
All right. Good work. So that's what etiquette is. And quite frankly, etiquette makes a lot of good sense. We talk about manners and we talk about etiquette sometimes simultaneously. And what I would also mention to you is that there's an element of etiquette that revolves around emotional intelligence. You all know what that is, right? Social awareness, self-awareness, and so forth. I've also read in a lot of the books that on etiquette is sometimes it's okay to break the rules as long as you know you're breaking the rule. Because you simply don't want to look like an idiot. Okay? If you're doing something and you know you're breaking the rules, at least be self-aware that you're being an idiot. Okay? All right. Here's our top 10 list of most common etiquette blunders. All right? There you go. Take a look at that. Interesting, right? Yeah. And what I would say to you is that there was some original research that I did probably about 15 years ago. That's probably in green. And then what's in black is something that was taken out of an article in July of 2018. So the same things that were the top 10 blunders years ago are still the top 10 blunders in some cases. What do you think is number one and number two? Yes.
I'm betting it has something to do with the opposite sex.
Very good point. Very good point. And that's a whole nother class. Right? A whole nother class. We can talk a little bit about it, but just a little bit. I think we could go into greater detail in that in a longer session. Yes. What else? You had a comment, right? What else do you think is number one?
I was
and
going to
number two?
say, you want the top two, right?
Yeah.
The second one is having bad table manners.
Okay. Well, do we have table manners? Yeah, we have that at number 7.
Oh, you mean something that's not here?
Yeah, so these
Oh,
are
okay.
3 through 10. Tell me what you believe are the top 2.
What I would look at is as throwing food on the ground.
What is it?
Throwing food on the ground.
Okay, and by the way, these are the most common etiquette blunders, not necessarily related to your meals,
Okay.
but overall. But yeah, throwing food on the ground is like childish and rude.
It's rude.
Yes.
Yeah, it's rude. Agreed.
Okay, so I'm going to give you another shot here. Number 1 and number 2. What do you think is on this top list as number 1 and number 2 for the most common etiquette blunders? Yes.
Being late.
Yeah. 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 Being late. Yeah. Being rude and impolite to people, inappropriate language, disregard of others' time, being late. It means you're not respecting me, basically. Don't take it personal for tonight. It's okay. But in general, it is not something that I tolerate, and you shouldn't tolerate it either. Okay? But it continues to happen everywhere you go, in meetings, at corporate life, and most of it is, right, because so many people are trying to cram so many things in. And we underestimate the time that it takes for us to complete tasks. Or we're thinking, I can get one more thing done. It's always that way. Okay? All right. We're going to get to a little quiz right now. This is going to be the most fun you've had all week. I'd like for you to cluster in teams of 6. You're going to need to do that very quickly. As you see, we're at 7:23 right now. I'm going to give you a couple of questions, and you're going to reach consensus very quickly, probably within 6 minutes on the statements, discuss your findings, then you're going to give yourself 10 points after I let you know what the correct responses are, and we'll have a little bit of discussion for that. And then I have prizes for the winning team, okay? So get into your cluster groups right now. All right, are you ready? Good work. Let me know that you're ready. We're ready. Good work. Good work. Here we go. Here are your first 5 questions. I'll let you know what the correct responses are, and we'll have a little bit of conversation about it. Then there'll be another set. We'll have some conversation. You'll award your points to yourself. You're on the honor system. I won't come to check your work. And then you'll retrieve your prizes. Ready? All right, 1 through 5. Your 6 minutes begins right now. And for our audience that's listening in, number 1, if you are disconnected, it's the caller's responsibility to redial. Number 2, to signify that you do not want any more wine, turn your glass upside down. Number 3, the following is the proper introduction. Miss Boss, I'd like you to meet Client X. Number 4, if a person forgets to introduce you, it's inappropriate to move on with the conversation without saying anything. Or it's appropriate. And number 5, if you forget someone's name, don't worry about it. Keep talking. Oh, I shouldn't be over here. 4 more minutes.
But I'm not good at it. You don't touch this and go. I'm sorry. Yeah. I would say.
3 more minutes. Team, are you finished? Close? Team, are you finished? Team, finished? Team, finished? Good work. Team, are you finished? Are you finished or do you need more time?
We've got some answers.
You've got some answers. Okay, good work. All right, have you come to closure? Good work. For the sake of time, I'm going to go to the next 5, okay? Let's go to the next 5. Let's go to the next 5. Okay, it's okay to hold private conversations in office bathrooms, elevators, and other public spaces. Number 2, what percentage of the message you communicate is conveyed through your body language? When 2 business people communicate, how far apart should they stand in person? Number 4, it is appropriate to tell business associates their zipper is open or down. And number 5, the host, the one who does the inviting, pays for lunch. All right, start. I think you might be able to complete this in about 5 or 6 minutes. Oh, Mitch, I keep going to that side of the room, sorry. Looks as if many of you have come to completion. Are you ready, team? Are you ready, team? You're ready, team. Are you ready, team? A little bit more time? All right. Is this team ready? Some of them are true and false, and some of them require a number. This team is ready. This team is ready. This team has been ready. This team is ready. And this team, get ready. All right. All right. Be prepared to get your points. All right. All right. Here's the first one. If you are disconnected, it's the caller's responsibility to redial. That would be true. Did you get that? Yep. That was the easiest thing, right? And remember, in most cases, etiquette is common sense. All right? Number 2, to signify that you do not want any more wine, turn your wine glass upside down. Is that true or false? False. Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, casual restaurants don't mind when you turn your glass over. They immediately remove it from the table when they come around. After they check in with you, come back, you turn your wine glass over, they remove it. But very, 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 very fine dining restaurants, yeah, would prefer you say, no, thank you.
So I have a question to ask you on that.
Yes, let's get you on that mic so everyone can hear you.
Okay.
If you have dregs of wine in your glass and you turn it upside down, you're going to dirty the table and the tablecloth.
You are so right on. And so let's go with common sense and let's not turn the glass over with wine in it.
So the general point is not to do it.
All right? Yeah, that's right. Common sense isn't always common. It's unique. Now, number 3, the following is a proper introduction. For example, Myra, I'd like for you to meet Joan. Is that correct or false? It is false. Let me tell you why. What you want to be able to do as you're introducing people, what you want to do is to think about hierarchy in relationship. And so typically what you want to do is to kind of say the person who is most important to you, their name first, and then the other one comes at the end of the sentence. You got it? It took me a long time to figure that one out. For example, let's say that my husband was here. He's more important to me than all of you, okay? Let's just say that. And so what I would say is, Lenny, this is James Armstrong. Okay, you get it? Okay, now, when you're in business, and in some cases, depending on the business, the client is more important than the boss. And so you have to do that workaround. You have to figure that out in your own culture. Okay? So that's why you could have a conundrum. All right?
But the Queen of England is always first.
That's right. That's right. And in most cases, the President of the United States is. Okay? So let's go to number 4. If a person forgets to introduce you, it's appropriate to move on with the conversation without saying anything. Did all of you get false? You got true. Yeah, I felt that indecision over there in that corner. So let me have you think about it this way. I know that a lot of introverts would prefer to go to a networking meeting, would prefer to go to any meeting, would just prefer to just sit there, maybe share a technical solution, but not necessarily be social. Don't make yourselves invisible, particularly as you're thinking about your leadership brand. And when you let it go along and not introduce yourself, insert yourself into the conversation, you are making yourself invisible. And I reject that. Okay? All right. I know you like that. So if you forget someone's name, don't worry about it. Keep talking. How many of you got true on that? You didn't? Okay, okay. Well, I used to do that all the time because now I'm getting older. I'm like, man, I can't think of their name. Man, I can't think of their name. But now I'm just like, you know what? I forgot your name. I can't remember where we met. I can't remember any of that. But please remind me of your name. Don't over ingratiate yourself about it. Just say it and get it over with. Okay? It's okay to hold private conversations in office bathrooms, elevators, and public spaces. Yeah, so that is absolutely false. Let me tell you how many conversations I overhear everywhere. It's rude. Yes, let's get a mic over here.
I hear everything that's going on both sides. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. Okay? So what percentage of the message you communicate is conveyed through your body language? That would be 55%. Did anybody get that correct? Yeah, because you don't think in those terms, right? You were higher. Ah, good work. But this is a good model to follow because remember how, well, my grandmother used to say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it, right? That kind of thing, tone of voice. And then, of course, your body language. Body language is very important in business. I would imagine that many of you, as I do, have a lot of remote calls, right? Where people can't necessarily see your body language. But we have to learn how to be a little bit more intuitive around what people are doing and how they're feeling. We have to be very clear in our communication. All right. When two business people communicate, how far apart should they stand? Did anybody get this right? That's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, and remember, this is for American business people because remember, different cultures have different rules. This is cool book, kiss, shake, bow, something, shake hands. Really cool book. So if you're traveling out of the country, make sure that you are aware of the customs for that particular country. 3 feet for American business people. And number 4, it is appropriate to tell business associates their zipper is open. Yay, you know that. All right, yeah. All right, good work, yes. Now, by the way, hold on for a moment. We are breaking one of the ground rules. Remember, we wanted everybody to have a mic when they spoke in order for the audience to hear. Let's honor that.
So you should also include things like, I've seen people with toilet paper they're dragging underneath their shoe.
Good point.
Something that's stuck up their nose, or spinach in their teeth, whatever. It's appropriate to tell people that, you might want to check something that's a little different,
Yeah.
a little off.
Yeah. And
We usually try to ignore it or look the other way.
yeah, agreed. And what we want to do is to always ensure that the person who is receiving this message knows that we have good intentions. That's key. There's a subtle way to do everything.
Yep, you answered the question I was going to ask you. What if it is a man telling a woman or a woman telling a man? Is it okay? But you said they should get the intention right.
That's right. And by the way, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but business etiquette is gender neutral. And what is like a number one thing that maybe you think that applies to? Right. Key. Yeah. Now, mind you, if you hold a door for me, Thank you. I'm going to walk right through it. But I'm not standing there waiting for you to hold the door. Okay? Because in business etiquette, gender is neutral. All right. The host, the one who does the inviting, pays for lunch. That would be true. Yeah. Yes.
May I challenge it with ethics rules in the federal government that don't allow federal employees to accept beyond a certain amount, a dollar amount per year? So, and a lot of corporations honor the ethics rules, and they know they put the government employee in a tough spot by insisting that they're going to pay for a dinner or a lunch at a conference.
I absolutely agree with you. And I probably should have written something like, it depends, because you are absolutely correct. When there are business meetings outside of government, for example, even though there are some private industries who have strong guidelines, command media, and all kinds of rules about how to deal with this. You all, I would imagine, attend a lot of business networking, reconnect with people after meetings and so forth. Think about it that way too. So, but keep in mind ethical guidelines. Okay, good work. All right, add up your points. Let's see what you got. Let's do it quickly. You have
80 points. Yeah.
80 points here. 60, 80 is the winner right now. What about you? Oh, your group is 60? All right. 80, okay. We might have a tiebreaker. 70. 70, okay. 80, 80. What about you all back there? Oh. All right, here's the tiebreaker for those who have 80. Let's see what you got. When shaking hands, a man should wait for a woman to extend her hand. Is that true or false? Get it quick, get it quick. Number 2, who goes through the revolving door first? The visitor or the host? In the revolving door, who goes first? Think about common sense. All right, document your points. Let's see what you got. 10 points for this. When shaking hands, a man should not wait. That would be false. Remember, gender neutral. Gender neutral in handshaking. The host knows where you're going. Let the host go first. Okay? All right. Here's a poll for you. Are we ruder today than 20 years ago? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this was released in 2016, and absolutely, compared to 20 or 30 years ago, people are more rude. And you have a great opportunity to change that by being less rude. Okay? Poll number 2, have you used your cell phone in a loud or annoying way in the last 24 hours? No, of course not. I never do that. Yeah. Well, what's annoying to you might not necessarily be annoying to me. So be mindful of that. And phones ringing all the time. Do you remember when the only people who had a pager or a cell phone were those people who were delivering babies? But now all of you, yeah, right. Okay? Is it easier to see rudeness in others than in yourself? Yeah, of course. This goes back to that emotional intelligence. We need to be self-aware at all times. This goes back to leadership brand. How do you want to show up in these meetings? How do you want to show up? Who are you out here in the world? What are people saying behind your back? All right? This is why etiquette is important. It makes sense. And by the way, there's this really cool commercial. Have you all ever eaten a Kind bar? Yeah, a protein bar. I mean, it's so nutty and delicious. So anyway, they're talking about in this commercial about how being nice is different than being kind. What would you say is the difference between nice and being kind? Get ready for a mic. Get ready for a mic. You've got a couple of responses here.
Nice can be superficial. Kind is from the heart.
Yes, good work. Yeah, that's good. We've got another comment in the back, please. That's good? Okay. Yeah, nice is kind of temporary, right? It's temporary. Oh, another comment here.
So nice is from the head and kind is from the heart, as he said, but it's also how you make the other feel. It's the empathy piece to that.
With nice or
With
kind?
kind.
Okay, I got you. I like that
Kind is
too.
like making the other person part of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the best way that I learned it is nice is temporary, and as you indicated, it could be very superficial. But being kind, as you indicated, you're able to show compassion and empathy, and those are really great emotional intelligence skills for leaders. It's good business. We're going to hit professionalism real quick here, okay? And so this is what you do at work. This is when they say, oh, she's so professional, or oh, he's so professional. They usually say that with younger people than you. No, I'm kidding. But they say that about young people. I hear it all the time when people come in. Oh, they're so professional, so articulate, so blah, blah, blah. And so what we want as a part of our leadership brand, though, is not necessarily someone saying that we're professional at this stage of the game. Many of us are kind of like more than entry level into our career. And so professionalism isn't enough. However, there are some characteristics from this term professionalism that we need for you to be thinking about, especially when you see these numbers. This is based on some research. These are the 4 indicators. What do you think they are? Mike, please.
Like I'm playing Family Feud. Appearance.
Huh. Good. Anything else?
No.
That is a very good guess. What else do you think is going to be up here? Performance. Okay. What do you think else? What else? Punctuality. Okay. Yes. Demeanor. Yeah. Yes.
Preparedness.
That's a great happy dance right there. All right. Here they are. Look at that. Right? This interpersonal skill piece is so important. Right? It has a lot to do with adaptability, negotiation, conflict resolution, communication skills, conflict, management, persuasion, influencing, affirmation, team building, and self-awareness. Work ethic, which goes to what you all have described. This work ethic thing is really big, okay? And then appearance. And it's not just what you look like. It's even an appearance that shows that you are prepared, right? And then communication. Those are the big 4. Look at those numbers. Look how important that is. That's what professionalism is. Okay? Now, there's a big, deep dive that we could take into all of those, right? But we're at 7:50 and we're finishing at 8 o'clock. So let's talk about this idea of interpersonal skills. Adaptability, negotiation. Here's what I would have you do. Take a little bit of an experiment. Take a little bit of an experiment when you leave here tonight and as you are kind of closing in on your work week. Think about these skills and how you would measure yourself. A 1, maybe needing some work, and a 5, mastery. Think about those for yourself. Okay? Work ethic. This revolves around time management, integrity, sense of responsibility, emphasis on quality, discipline, sense of teamwork. Work ethic. We hear all the time, particularly from hiring managers, oh, the work ethic is just not there. But they never put any words on it. And whenever anybody says, oh, the work ethic isn't there, but I say, what do you mean? Tell me more about that, instead of just using a blanket statement about work ethic. Because there's a difference in the way that people think about work ethic, right? Yes.
I have a question. I didn't see anything in terms of mentoring, because I think mentoring, I know when I was doing it, I actually did too much, and it affected my work because I was trying to help other people. And I think that's an important skill, and I don't know where that is.
I would agree that mentoring is a great leadership skill, a great professionalism skill. And what I would also add is that what you've described as you might have gotten into a little bit of a challenge, and some of that is time management, right? Yep. Yep.
Some of it could be sense of responsibility, that belief that you have to give something back to the organization through mentoring.
I love it when a voice just starts and I wasn't sure where it came from. That's right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely agreed. Okay, mentoring is important. It's a great leadership skill. That's work ethic. Appearance, again, I'm not just talking about what you wear, although that is so important, right? It is so important. And you might have noticed over the years that folks dressed a lot more casually at work than they did back when I started in the financial services business. And so, you know, bankers were like suited up. And so now, particularly in the technology business, or science, STEM industry, not so much all the time. And what I say is, be mindful of the culture that you're working in. Don't underdo it. As a matter of fact, what you might even think about is how you could overdo it just a little bit. We used to have this saying of, don't dress for the job that you have, dress for the job that you want. And many VPs, although they don't come completely suited up, they always keep a suit jacket in their office. Okay?
I think the other issue is, even though we're trying to say we're keeping this sexist free, I think the women's sex has to understand what they're doing with their clothes.
You are so right about it. Absolutely. Like, you know, not showing your bra strap at work, you know, not taking stuff out of your bosom. That's an inside joke for us. Don't tell anybody. But this idea of appearance is more than what you wear. It has to do with grooming. It has to do even with your breath. It has to do with this idea of this person is ready for work. This person is ready for leadership. So it's not just what's out here. It's all of this. Okay? Dress for success. Look prepared. Outward appearance of competence. Age and position appropriate. Okay? Communication skills. Okay. This goes back to what we talked about moments ago as related to body language, tone of voice. This idea, I will not be able to say enough about emotional intelligence in a leader. Have any of you ever taken an assessment or read any books on emotional intelligence? Do some work on that. Do some work on that. There's some free assessments for emotional intelligence that talk about social awareness, self-awareness, There's a real good quadrant that you should be mindful of, particularly as a leader. Think and reflect, eye contact, and body language. So those are the 4 components of what has been defined as professionalism. Now what I want you to think about right now, and I want you to have these mics ready for people who are going to report out. Take a moment. Think about people that you consider professional. Like get 2 people in your head. And what do they do? What do they avoid doing? Let's do that for just a moment and then be prepared to report out. Who'd like to report out on that? We have Mike standing by. Who'd like to report out on that? Yes. Oh, okay.
I can talk about it.
Yeah.
What you really want is someone that's, portrays himself as competent, very level-headed, doesn't get emotional, and is very good at listening to others, which is critical. Most people like going into broadcast mode, and they think that's communications, and it's not. It's probably the worst form of communications.
Mm-hmm.
So that listening skills is part of being more mature at and gaining that expertise of, really understanding how to communicate effectively.
Yeah, right on.
What do they avoid? They're not obnoxious. They're not loud. They're not insensitive. They're trying to really work together as a team and focus everybody on the task at hand.
Mm-hmm. Good work on that. Yes.
I was thinking of my boss's boss and how he is very inclusive. Like when he goes and meets something, you can almost feel that, you're part of it. It's not us and them type thing. It's more of a inclusive. And I've always felt that was a great concept for the leader to be inclusive like that.
Yeah.
Very professional.
Yeah. 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 Anyone else? Yes.
I think people that I see as professional have an intangible that I call charisma.
Yeah.
Very hard to put your finger on it. It's almost like it's an inborn natural trait, but then when you talk to them and ask them what that is, you find out that it's acquired and somewhat developed. Charisma can be developed, but it's in the appearance thing. It's more than just how people look. It's the way they act and the way they behave. I've lost respect for people I've traveled with because somehow when they think they get outside of Washington, D.C. on travel, there's no rules and they can act like idiots.
Yeah. 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 I'm in agreement with you. Looks like we have another comment. Good work. Yes.
Hi. I would also say it's somebody said competence. I would also say confidence.
Yes.
Acting confident without being arrogant, and still having a touch of friendliness to you.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. I like all of that. Yeah. And I'm going to summarize that because I was thinking the exact same thing. When we talk about leadership presence, it has to do with these 3 C's: competence, confidence, and credibility, right? And these folks don't put on false faces, right? Okay. So we're at 7:59. There's some do's and don'ts of behaving professionally at work that are going to be in the extended version of this session. But if you have an inkling that it might be rude, it's rude. Even just an inkling, right? It's rude. It's wrong. So stop it. Okay? Here are some ideas about etiquette and professionalism. We'll do a flashcard session or exercise at the next session to talk more about this. There's a whole lot going on. I just want to take a few minutes right now Did anybody see the tennis match with Serena Williams?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So my husband loves Serena Williams, like worships her. Like, I think he wishes that he were married to her, right? I mean, because talk about a work ethic. And he said, when she slammed that racket, he was so disappointed. He's like, she's losing. She's lost her cool. And in our work, I would imagine there's a whole lot of stuff that we could lose our cool on. Don't show up like that. That's a part of business etiquette and professionalism. Do not demonstrate anger that way. Yeah. Okay. All right, 8:02. Thank you so much for coming. I'd like for the winners of our quiz today to come over and choose your books. Thank you, everyone. Who won? Did you? No, 85 didn't win because there were not 85 points.